Hi guys, in the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, one God. I mean, it's really the best day. I so blessed to be here talking with you today about a very good event, very blessing event that took place in our beloved country in Egypt. Of course, I miss you all, and I have a feeling that this is gonna end soon. We're gonna be all enjoying our fellowship, hopefully soon in our church. And this is a holy 50 days that are all about happiness, all about, being grateful to what God did for us on the cross. And the story today is going to even emphasize more about God's journey, even when he was a child, how he even had to take refuge in Egypt, even when he's a little baby. So the story today is about the flight of the Holy Family from Jerusalem to Egypt. If you don't mind, I'm just gonna share a minute and a half video with you guys, so you can refresh your mind about the event, and we'll go from there.
After they had gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt, and stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to look for the child to kill him." Then he got up, took the child and his mother during the night, and went to Egypt. He stayed there until Herod died. In this way, what was spoken by the Lord through the prophet was fulfilled. "I called my son out of Egypt." When Herod saw that he had been tricked by the wise men, he became enraged. He sent men to kill all the children in Bethlehem and throughout the surrounding region from the age of 2 and under, according to the time he had learned from the wise men. Then what was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet was fulfilled. A voice was heard in Ramah, weeping and loud wailing, Rachel weeping for her children, and she did not want to be comforted, because they were gone. After Herod had died, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, "Get up, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who were seeking the child's life are dead." So he got up, and took the child and his mother, and returned to the land of Israel.
Okay guys, so hopefully you enjoyed this minute and a half video. Go through the story really quick, or the event really quick. But before I get into it, I have some notes that I want to share with you about some facts or some things good to know, especially for our church as Orthodox. And one of them is that so today's Sunday, a week from today, which is next Sunday, on the 24th of the Coptic month of Bashans, we actually celebrate the flight of the Holy Family to Egypt, and that's we call it a minor feast. It's a minor feast. So the minor feast is also, it's very important that we recognize it in the church, and we celebrate during the liturgy. The other thing is, a lot of the things that we see happening now, and for example, this event here, the flight of the Holy Family from Jerusalem to Egypt, is things that even God told us long time ago. And that tells us something, that all the promises and all the prophecies that God gives his prophets, and all the events that happens in the past that he said, remind us, okay, this is what's going to happen in the future, it takes place and it does happen. So God always fulfill his promise to us, whether through prophecies or through his his life on earth to us. So for example, in Isaiah 19, chapter 19, verse 19, he says, "In that day there will be an altar to the Lord in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar to the Lord at its borders." And he's talking about Jesus Christ here going to Egypt and stuff. And also in the same chapter, on verse 21, he says, "Then the Lord will be known to Egypt." This is exactly what happened. People didn't know Egypt, didn't know Christ, didn't know think about Christ till Jesus actually went, on this flight, and things will start to happen, as we're going to see in as we discussed the lesson today. And he also said to them that the Egyptian will know the Lord in that day and will make sacrifices and offering to him. Um, so I want to also go back to the lesson now, and from the beginning, and you can kind of want to imagine Jesus is a baby with Saint Mary, she's a very young lady, and also Saint Joseph the carpenter, an old man. You can imagine that. You can imagine as a family get an order from God with the from through the angel to wrap up. Gotta go. A lot of people might panic. A lot of people might say, okay, can we just maybe push a later? It's dark. We don't have any food prepared. We're not packed. This kind of stuff. So the event here happens because some evil thing was gonna take place, and Jesus and the family has to go take flight to Egypt. And God wanted to tell us here that when we sometimes have to go be faced with evil, good that we just go try to go away from it, try not to face it, not out of fear, but it's out of trust and faith that we have refuge in God Himself. Not out of fear. We're not fearful. We don't fear anything because God is with us. But we should not throw ourselves into harm's way if we know that's going to be in harm way. Just quick meditation on this, like when we pray in the Our Father's prayer, the Lord's prayer. We say, "Do not lead us into temptation." There are some the evil one. That's exactly what happened here with Christ. The angel appeared to Saint Joseph, say, "Go away, take the baby and his mother and go." That's what he did. So that was kind of the before situation, the before stuff. During. So what happened during here? So now Christ was the family going this whole trip in the desert and trying to get to Egypt. So I'll show you a little video kind of about the road to Egypt, and we gonna talk a little bit more about. Okay.
Way southwards, crossing the Nile to its eastern bank and heading for Matariah and Ansham's ancient Heliopolis in Mataria. The Holy Family found shade under a sycamore tree. At that spot Jesus created the well, blessed it and drank from it. The Holy Virgin also used its water to bath Jesus. On the place where she threw out the water, a plant grew which gave a beautiful fragrance. That is why it is called the tree of the Holy Virgin. Here, Jesus caused a water spring to well up from the ground, and his presence caused the idols to crumble, as foretold by the prophets of old. The townsfolk, in consequence, turned malevolent and aggressive, whereupon the Holy Family turned their backs on the town and headed southwards.
Okay, guys, so as you kind of watch those couple of videos, I want you to think, what kind of blessings happen here? What kind of miracles happen here? Think about some stuff. The tree, the well of water, all the idols that just crumbled and went down, broken in pieces and stuff. It kind of tells us that even nature praises God. Even the things that we couldn't think that, when God is present have impact on, actually does have praise God and bows to Him in different ways. And also tells us that Christ's presence in our life and makes everything around us like heaven, like work in our favor. We need the water, He gives you a well. You need some fruit, He gives you the tree. You need light, He trumps all the altars and stuff. So it's so God's always wears only light. So that tells us that baby Jesus, when he went to Egypt, and like as I said in the beginning, from the prophecies of Isaiah, that the people of Egypt would know him, they did know him because he trampled all the idols, and they saw actually power coming out of him. And did he bless them? Of course he blessed them with all the things that they see happen as he goes from a place to place. bringing water out, the tree that give good fragments. So there's a lot of blessings that we see it to our soul and our lives when Christ was us with us, and also on even the things around it, whether it's nature or whatnot. Um, that journey was continued in Egypt in two different places, about 25, 26 stops, and each one of them has some interaction between Christ and the people around him, and the places around him was blessings, was miracles, was enlightenment that people needed at this time. Think about the way going back. It was the same way God revealed to Saint Joseph to come to Egypt for refugee. Same way he told him to go back because of what? Because the evil thing is gone. The bad thing that was gonna put this family in danger, God took care of it. Is gone. So it's again goes back to the same thing we talked about in the beginning. When you see something bad, try not to fight it, not try not to interact with it. Try to take refuge in God Himself and let him deal with it for you. Let Him be the one who actually fight it for you, or the one who can save you from it. And that's what even Saint Joseph, who is Saint Joseph, is saying in Saint Mary, the beloved, the Theotokos did. Pretty simple. They obeyed, they listened, they went on a very tough journey, obviously, but they were saved. So with this came the saving of the family, and it came the saving of not only that, the people in Egypt who were saved from dying without knowing Jesus or seeing all the great things that He've done. So I want you to think about this journey in a spiritual way, maybe that as we come to church, we take refuge in God, even like especially during those times. God can be our only refuge right now, thinking of what's the outcome here, but He's there to save us from everything. I really encourage you guys to, if you can, to go back maybe on YouTube, or maybe some of the search engines that you guys can use to see the stops where Christ stopped during His flight in Egypt. It's very interesting to see the impact of all the prophecies coming into light and actually happening in our beloved country in Egypt, and in all the people. There's a lot of not only history, but there's also a lot of blessings that we can, I guarantee you, none of us here didn't act with one of it, one way or the other, like church nearby or a monastery nearby or something like that. I like just to close up our lesson today with I want you to think about the theme today, that it's God is in control of everything. God is in control whether we have a risk that we are facing or everything that's coming towards us, and He's also wanna see the bond that He created us to have as a family. He wants to see us bonding together, going through our journey in life together, to worship Him and to take refuge in Him, and also to thank Him. And after all that didn't happen to us, I don't want to throw any homework on you, but I'll just say maybe an activity. I was wondering if you guys, I know like a couple of weeks ago that you were, or maybe you already started reading the book of Mark. I was wondering if you guys can search for maybe those two things. What's the name of the prophet who was almost get killed, just like Jesus when he was a baby, because some pharaoh ordered that boys like him to be killed? And if you know any place in Egypt that Jesus went or stopped with the family in Egypt, a place, a monastery, or something like that, you can put it on a group that we have for everybody. I'm always following up to see what's going on. So once you put the answer, just maybe watch out for something coming on your way as a present. I guess I hope you guys have a blessing week, and we hope to see you guys all in church soon, and keep me in prayers. From the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. Bye, guys.